It's coming. It's coming. Welcome everyone to tonight's call. This is the Super Easy Beginners class with me, your one and only Jenny Baker. Let's see. I always get a little nervous when we know this is, for some reason, I don't know why I get nervous on this one, but I do. So if you guys don't know, please know that everything we talk about on this call is not to be considered legal, financial, or investing advice. These classes are recorded for future education and training purposes, so if you speak up, please know you're being recorded. We super encourage that. Don't be shy. No one bites except for maybe a few people. I do definitely practice high risk, high reward trading. That works for me. You can always follow similar steps with safer, lower kind of risk, lower kind of reward trading as well. Obviously, you're not going to hit the same levels, but you're also not going to risk the same levels. So, you guys know this is my all time favorite, the $1,000,000 today kind of concept. This is what I am all about in terms of trading, in terms of compounding, and in terms of simplicity, which we're getting ready to show you. I just want to show that you can use pretty close to any system, pretty close to any strategy to make a substantial income in trading. You don't have to sell your home to do it. You don't have to invest hours a week. You don't even have to know a whole bunch, believe it or not. You just need some really good sound rules to make that happen. So, I typically show this to kind of just some basic rules. If you've never seen it, take a screenshot. It's rather elementary, but I promise you it works. So with that, without further ado, I am going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm keeping track of slowly but surely. Now keep in mind this is a different kind of trading journal, but we're keeping track of this kind of per call. I'm not going to dare include like 50, 70, 80 trades because that's just too many to keep track of. It's too much oversight, and I'm looking for less oversight considering all the calls we're doing are recorded already. So this is only going off of what's been live on YouTube, live with simplicity. This is the UTC candle. This is the date it was recorded. Obviously, this one I kind of recorded. I recorded one the other day, which is a little bit late, but that's where we got this number from. Also, again, live on YouTube. It's telling us I'm kind of keeping track of how many pairs, how many had no entries based off of rules, and we'll go over those in a minute. How many lost in terms of like they beat or broke structure. And I do mean structure on the 4 hour chart, which again, we'll go over those rules in a minute, telling you how many wins, etc., so forth. So just to see we're keeping track of this, to see what's possible with 1 hour a week, week after week, wins and losses. They won't always be winning weeks. Hopefully, they're mostly winning weeks, but to show you what we can do in this kind of batch of trades mentality. So, without further ado, I think what I'm going to do is first and foremost, I guess, go over the rules and then we'll look at the setups, or the setups and look at the rules. You guys get to pick. Totally up to you. Setups first or rules first? Because I got a lot of messages. Rules. It says rules. Okay. We'll do rules for the one person brave enough to, a few people. There you go. They're coming in. Coming in now. So we'll do rules first. I went ahead and started sharing my screen on my VPS. So you guys know what this template is. You guys know for the most part, this is just simplicity, nothing fancy. I do have this pretty cool tool called the Swiss Army knife, built by our one and only Scott. It's part of his store. It is available officially now. If you're interested, you guys can go to his store. I'll see if I can't post that in my YouTube description as well. So now we have the same data that we would have had in the bar alert. We have it already all over here. So we have the ATR, which is going to be relevant. We're going to need to know that, as well as the ADR, because that's going to be part of our rules. So for now, if you don't have this tool, which it does all kinds of more stuff that I should dare not explain, that's where this comes from too. But anyways, it does a bunch of cool stuff. You can always use the bar alert. That is in every one of the super easy chats. It's in every one of the We the People groups and all the forums. So this is just called bar alert. You can get it from there. And the ATR also is available as well. So let's talk about the rules. First and foremost, remember that this is a reversal based system. It's a kind of counter trend, catch the pullback, catch the reversal, coded system that gives you multiple rules all painted into one pretty arrow with some obnoxious smiley faces. Let's zoom in so we can see those smiley faces. There we go. So, yep, they're a bit obnoxious, right? We know that. But that's all this arrow is. So, for the people who don't necessarily know everything there is to know about candle formations and structure and all this other stuff, it's a really, really easy system to maybe go out, make some money, and kind of learn, make money as you learn, right? So, how I've been using simplicity, a little bit different than what I did with the triple arrows, the older day, super easy system. is literally when I'm getting a setup on the 4 hour and 1 hour time frame. These are the rules that we talked about. So all I'm looking to happen is I need the next few candles or the next candles to break a higher high, preferably, and that's for buys, by the way. Let me pull this up actually. I need it to break a fractal. So when I get my signal, guys, I need price to move in the right direction. I'm not going to just take it. And keep in mind, I might not find the signal at this very point. I might find it here. So if I come to the chart and I'm on this candle right here, I need for price to break above these fractals before I enter. Period. End of story. My stop loss is going to be at or slightly below structure. So I'm going to give it even slightly more room than where the candle ends. So I'm adding a little bit room on top of that, right? And I'm always locking profit. So this is it. It sounds really complicated, but it's not. But I'm always locking profit if I'm on the bigger time frame, like the 1 hour, 4 hour, at least half of the ADR. And it's a little hard to see because this box is in the way. You can see here, half of the ADR, and I'm going to round the smallest number. I'm going to pick the smallest number, not the largest, not the biggest either. There we go. I'll get it out of the way. So whatever the smallest number is here, I'm going to take that one, or I'm going to kind of average them out. Same thing here, similar data, just different, coded slightly different. I am going to lock profit or scale out of my trade at that point. And what that means is I'm going to bring, drag and drop my stop loss into profit, right? It might be slightly above break even, or I'm going to scale out of a portion of my trade. So if I have one standard lot on there, for example, I might close out 0.5, right? So I'm going to close out $5 per pip. At that point, I might close out 0.75. I might close out 0.25. But either way, I'm going to make an actionable decision at half of the ADR if I'm at the 4 hour or 1 hour time frame. If I'm taking signals or trades anything below these two time frames, or if it's a slower mover on the 1 hour, I'm going to be closing at 1.25, 1.5 ATR. And that's this number here. Again, you can't see it because of the way this box is. Let's see if I can't scroll around. Get that out of our way. Hopefully. Maybe, baby. There we go. ATR is ADR here. 1 hour ATR is here. So I would be going off of the actual average trading range for that particular pair. So if I'm taking a smaller time frame trade, I am closing or protecting at anywhere between 1 and 1.5 ATR on smaller time frame trades. So from there, I'm literally going to structure, or I'm going for a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk to reward, or I'm looking for the next area of interest on my chart as my final take profit. Pretty simple. And so far, we've got, I think almost 8 weeks worth of evidence that says we lose some, we win some, but at the end of the week, for the most part, we're in profit. Some weeks, obviously, it's a lot because we found a lot of setups. Some weeks, there's not a lot of setups, and that just goes with the territory. So last week, for example, we had like 11 setups. Right now, we only have a handful. We'll go over those in a few minutes because those are the ones that are still in play, or they're not at a good enough area to look for a re-entry. So that's literally all I'm doing. When I get a signal, I need price to be above the 50, obviously, what it usually already is when you get the signal. I need, wherever I find that signal at, I need for price to break above the fractal. My stop loss is below structure. I'm going for half of the ADR on the bigger time frame, or 1.15 ATR on the smaller time frames. And then, of course, I'm going to grab my overall take profit to where structure is, or at least a 3-to-1 risk to reward trade. I know that's pretty fast. It only took me like a couple of minutes to explain it, but those are all the rules. Literally all of them. We can use some oscillators. We can use a currency strength indicator to kind of, strengthen that just a bit. This way you're not kind of getting stuck in moments like this where there's no strength, which I might show you guys on another week once I get my template a little bit better to where I want it. But other than that, that's it. You don't need anything else at all. And if you quit micromanaging your trades and you just allow yourself to hold that trade, check maybe once, maybe twice a week, that's it. Let them play out accordingly, or use a trade manager to do so, and go on with your week. You should be hitting at least 50% of the pips that I'm calling out on those weekly calls. And that, again, is not including the signals group, which are giving out, 10 trades a week. That's not including Uncle P's calls, which are in Tuesday and Wednesday mornings, in which he's kind of going over trades and potential setups as well. That's just only including what I'm doing on my little Tuesday night class. So before I go to the pairs that I wanted to look at, does that help everyone really, really understand what we're looking at in terms of the rules? If you have a question, if you have a comment, now would be the time. So raise your hand. I'll wait a couple of seconds. I know I talk fast.
Can you go over what you do with the 4 hour again?
4 hour I like the best, but on the 4 hours, let's go here. Let's bring it up. So if I get a 4 hour signal, let's just say I didn't get it right here, because let's be honest, I don't, I'm not in love with the idea of alerts, especially on bigger time frames, because then you're just going to make yourself crazy, right? The reality is there's a lot of days in between here for you to check this and like you see the signal. So if I caught that signal, let's just say here, okay, this is when I'm looking at my chart. If this is the second I'm looking at my chart, that's when I first saw this signal. Obviously, we're below the 50. I'm looking left. I see there's some room, but pretty simple. Remember, I caught it somewhere on this candle. I'm not going to enter until bright. Here, I'll draw a vertical line. Let's draw a vertical line. Oopsie, I didn't grab it. Let's try that again. So let's say any of these candles, really any of them, doesn't matter which one. If this is when I caught that and I saw this sell signal, I am not going to enter until price breaks this fractal. And it's a little hard to see, but it's that green line. I'll make it magenta just so you guys can see a little bit more clearly. Magenta is my discussion color. So again, a little hard to see because of that big old box in the way. But once we break this fractal, then I would be taking that trade. So I'd either have a pending order, for example, right? And that's right in around, it doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen actually until here. So for example, if I saw it here, my entry would be here. I would obviously probably take some profit to some extent. This is not a fast moving pair, but let's just measure it for giggles. That's 57 pips. So even this baby move gets pips out of it. Even this baby move kind of hits the criteria of the ATR, half of the ADR. It hits just fine, right? That's 25 pips. That's double that. So I would have, odds are either closed out or closed out a portion.
And that's why.
Oopsie, that was Derek. Sorry, Derek. I don't know if you accidentally muted yourself, but I'll move this over. So even on this, like I was saying, even on this move, I would have closed out a portion of this trade. And notice how we pulled back here, but I never hit structure. So if I didn't fully close my trade here, I can take another re-entry here and again trade it down. Because I would have my first take profit, or more accurately, a manager that kind of scales me out, and my stop loss remains back here. Remember that. And I can always again take another entry. But ultimately, okay, my first one is in and around that half of the ADR. I'm hitting it more often than not. So if you kind of either A, lock your profit, that's not my best option, but I understand that some people are still kind of new to trading, so I understand why they would do it that way. But once you're in profit here, and if you lock your profit, obviously what's going to happen is price comes back and it kind of knocks you out with a BB amount of pips, which isn't a bad way to be because you still made money. But I'd much rather enter here and then I get to, half of the ADR, or I come back in my charts, or I have a manager who does it for me. And of course, what happens, I close out 75% of my trade at half of the ADR or one ADR, depending on, again, the time frame that I'm using. Well, there you go. At one standard lot, that's a lot of money just in this baby move right here. And of course, it comes back up, and this will kind of allow me to catch the rest of it.
Hi, Jenny.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good. How you doing?
Fantastic. And yourself?
Good, good. Thank you. When you say half of the ADR and you're not really calling a number, so I'm confused when you say half of the 80. Where are you going to calculate half of the ADR from?
Do you know what the ADR is?
The average daily range?
Okay. So there's a bajillion ways to count that number. Obviously, you can measure on the daily time frame 14 candles and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole math equation. There's also tools that will give you that. So for example, this tool right here is called the bar alert. It's free. It's in the files section of the Super EZ groups. It's a totally free alert, right? A free system, an indicator more accurately. This will tell you that the 1 week ADR is 61 pips. This will tell you that the 4 week ADR is, what is that? 63 pips. This will tell you the 12-week ADR is 65 pips. So I'm getting that from this data. And of course, this tool over here also tells me the ADR for 60, 20, and 5. It's the same setting. So it's 1 week, 4 weeks, and 12 weeks. That's what the 60, 20, and 5 equals, right? ATR is the average trading range for the actual time frame you're on versus the daily range. That's why it's a D instead of a T. So the trading range as you get to these smaller time frames and you're looking for, okay, I know what I'm doing. I just need to catch at least one ATR, right? 1.5 ATR on this, for example, is what is that? Exactly 30 some odd pips. You're going to hit that so often. You can afford to use a very large lot size. You can afford to scale out at that take profit with huge amounts of profit because it hits so often. You're going to have like an 80-90% accuracy ratio if you're following any set of sound rules to take these entries. But you need some way to calculate that data. I mean, you can do the math, but it would be tedious to do the math on every pair over and over again. Get an indicator. This is called the Swiss Army knife. It's on the Cool Trading Tools website. This is called the bar alert. It's free in the group. Deal.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Elliot, your hand is raised.
Hi, Jenny. Yes, it is. You kind of answered the question that I was going to ask. I just want to double check. At the break of that fractal, do you put a pending order there?
Lately, I never really liked pending orders, to be very transparent, but lately I've gotten really comfortable with them. So I do. I put a pending order in, and this way, come on, think about it, guys. We get this signal here, but this is multiple days in between.
Exactly.
We're not going to watch the charts all the time. It's very unhealthy to do that, and it's addicting, and you lose more anyways. You make a bunch of emotional decisions versus wise ones. So for me, yeah, I'd much rather check this system once, twice a week and put my pending order in. Again, you need a manager if you're going to do that. A manager, or at least you'll have to program in your stop loss and take profit.
Right, and then you put your take profit at half the ADR.
Okay, so let's game that out. Let's game that out together. So
Absolutely.
this is Euro JPY. Again, going off the idea, right? So we're not cherry picking this view. We're just going to go with what's in front of us. So if we saw the trade here, we put a pending
Right.
order here. So it activated approximately on this candle. Let's get a line, give or take. I mean, we could argue that this wicked you in, but we're just going to go with here. So that would mean we'd have to, when we type in our pending order, we'd have to measure where our stop loss would be, number one. Okay. So that would be up here. Remember, we need to give it more room. That's 160 pips. So if you program a stop loss at this level, you don't have a positive risk to reward ratio. That's not a good idea. That's not a viable. I mean, it's not that it's going to fail all the time, but it's not a wise idea because that's going to be 120-ish pips, and then your take profit's going to be, even if you double the ATR or take the average daily range, you're still only at 50 to 70 pips. That's not even 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio.
Right. So what do you do?
I use a trade manager. So, for example, and granted, these aren't the same settings. I use these settings more for scalping. So if we take, and again, this is not an ideal setup, but if I took this trade like I discussed, I'm going to hit escape to lock those numbers in. My manager is going to manage this all the way down for me. So I'm going to scale out at certain ATR levels. Let me go to take profit and I'll show you. I'm scaling out at certain ATR levels for this pair, right? It's going to close out portions of my position. Best case, I'm going to hit full take profit. Worst case, I'm going to close out in profit. On this particular trade, I would have ended up with 36 pips. Again, no management, no drama, no problem. And actually, I would have ended up better than that because remember, we said we would enter here. So if this was our entry point, was this one, I would have ended up hitting the full take profit, which is 95 pips perfectly. So,
And where would this trade manager wouldn't put the stop loss above structure like you would if you were just doing it manually? It does something else?
this one right here, I have my stop loss programmed back at 4. Sorry about that. 4 fractals back, for
Or
example.
fractals back. Okay.
So
Interesting.
you can do a similar thing without it. Obviously, it's a lot easier with it because then there's not as much oversight, but you can do something comparable. So what I'm trying to teach you to do is something comparable on your own. If you don't have a trade manager, there's also free ones. There's one in the group that I posted. It's called the Ron's Easy Trade Manager, I believe. You can program that to have the stop loss and the take profit you want. But the short answer to your question, let's delete that now, is, oopsie. One more time, get rid of that. The visualize. You can't put your take profit there. You can put an alert there. So like right click on your chart, go to trading.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to do that,
I do, yeah.
put an alert right there. And once you hit that, you're going to come back to that chart. You're going to scale out of that position, protect some of your trade, and then drag your take profit up to like the next level of structure. That's how I would do it if I wasn't using a trade manager.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm just used to these simplicity trades, like not doing anything or doing something negative for quite a while before they work out.
I agree. So, I mean, I would love to disagree. So I think that's also like, that is such a loaded statement. So, first off, I feel the same way. Let me first off relate to you. I totally feel the same.
I don't mean that in a negative way at all either.
Yeah,
I'm not in a complaining sort of way. It's just in order for me to be patient through the trade, I've noticed that even because I do the fractal break thing as well. You taught me that a long time ago, in one of your courses, in one of your streams.
still love that.
Um, but I just figure it's going to take a day or two before I know whether it's actually going to do its thing or be a win. Let's put it that way.
Well, let's game this out. So if this was the signal, remember, I'm not looking for signals. I'm not getting alerts on signals, and I'm not even going to look for them, to be very, very honest. But for those people who are, they got this 4 hour signal on, June 7th at, basically session crossover. So it's 5 p.m. Nobody should be trading at that time, but let's just say the new person is trading at that time. This doesn't really start to take off until June 16th.
Right. Right.
That's a long time of like stress and feeling and worry and wonder. And I think that's why a lot of people fail with systems like this and other strategies that are not scalping, right?
Right.
You take a good signal, and in this case, it is a good signal, but it took a whole week of playing around before it went in your favor. But if you can't handle this mentally and emotionally, this system is worthless to you. Not to be rude, but it really is. So that's the same with any trade, any pair. And I don't know, I'm looking for a buy. Of course, I can't find one. Go figure. Oh, there we go. This buy lasts forever, as we just saw. We get a buy. That's beautiful. We don't get a sell signal, so we missed out on that pullback. But it's not bad at all. So again, sell. You wait till the break of a fractal. You would have won even on this trade with the rules that I'm telling you. You would still have won taking this. Hold on. Catch. Hold on. No way, it's freezing. Don't be silly. It's frozen. So A for it to not be frozen. But if I could drag it over, I would show you this. Even this trade would have won. And it's a baby trade that actually, but it's frozen now. It said no.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to have to learn this trade manager thing then,
Yes.
because I don't like to watch the charts a lot. I just have a time, whether it's, when the New York session opens up, I look to see where price is in relation to a 30-minute arrow. And if it's approximately in the same place and there's a fractal near, a lower fractal, I'll wait till the fractal breaks and then trade it. And if the move has already happened when I come there at 8 o'clock, then I find a different one.
That's a great way to be. That's what my fractal break strategy is, right? Like, so it's just taking that really quick in the direction the price is moving way. So it's not bad. But what I challenged my group, our little family this morning was, we scalp, we make good money. Like some people are making insane amounts of money, which is great. But what if they could have this other like savings account mentality where you checked it once or twice a week and you stopped freaking out, you stopped micromanaging, you stopped, like, put it on a whole different account, Elliot. Seriously, that's what I would do. That's what I do personally. Is have your simplicity trade 4 hour, 1 hour, totally different account. Don't look at it. You don't have to. It's managed. You don't have to worry about it. It has a stop loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know that it's going to either play out or it's not, and quit freaking out. You might be surprised. Like I showed at the beginning of this call, I don't know how many thousands of pips, but thousands of pips on Forex is a lot. I mean, we get that easy on index trades, but thousands of pips on Forex, that's phenomenal.
Right. I actually recently joined your morning session signal group.
Oh, you have
I just haven't participated yet. Sorry.
Well, you missed a 3-hour class this morning. Donna was yelling at me.
I,
Get off!
I,
Get
I,
off!
I know. I was trying to watch the replay, and I got through an hour and a half, and that was about it. But no, I'm this NAS thing. It's crazy. It's crazy what you can do with it when you call it right. So I'll be there. Thursday morning. I'll be listening.
Well, awesome. Well, come on out. Thank you for coming out tonight, and definitely tell me when you catch those pips, especially on US 30, because that's awesome, baby. It's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Jenny.
Yes, sir. Kurt, I kind of muted you because there was some background noise. Did you have a question, or was that an accident? Sorry, I muted you, but there was like some noise going on. Okay. Well, he's coming out. Any other questions, comments in terms of rules, in terms of how we're doing this? Yes, a trade manager is helpful, but yes, you can accomplish comparable things even on your own. Honestly, trading comes more down to your rules than it does any strategy. You can have a completely naked chart. You can have the most, space jam looking chart. None of that matters because at the end of the day, what you really need are just sound rules that you can duplicate trade after trade, day after day, and leave the results up to the system. No tweaking, no adjusting until you have a batch of trades that are 20 to 50 trades deep so you can make reasonable, viable changes and adaptations to that strategy, which you can't do without the data first. So these rules will make a difference even in simplicity. But yeah, sometimes you have to sit through the week. You have to know how to do that without freaking out. So, okay, looking in the chat real quick. Who's that?
Jenny?
Yes, sir.
What strategy do you use to move your stop loss up? Do you use the half of the ADR or fractals or what?
So in order to have a valid strategy, something that's again duplicatable, right? It has to be something that's consistent. So the rules that I went over just a few minutes ago was how do I enter the trade? I'm waiting for the signal. I need price to break whatever the most recent fractals were, right? If there's a batch of them, I want price to break that batch of fractals, right? That's how I'm going to enter. And again, we have our signal, we have our system that gives us the signal. Now, how I'm going to manage it, which is the key part. Some things are taught, some things are caught. And I'm willing to bet that 50 some odd people are missing what I'm putting out here. The part that I'm putting out are the rules, right? Once I'm in that trade, my stop loss is above structure by at least, some room for the spring. Okay. My stop loss just isn't sitting at that candle. It's a little bit higher than that to give it some room. Okay. Number one. Number two, I need some consistent, duplicatable, teachable, something that somebody else can do. So if it wasn't me, somebody else needs to be able to do the same exact thing as I'm doing to make it a sound kind of strategy. So what that is once I hit half of the ADR on the bigger time frames, I know anything above that, I can lock my profit. So make sure you use that exact terminology, lock profit, because that terminology has a multitude of meanings, right? When somebody says lock profit, they may mean move your stop loss into profit. So that means just slightly above, break even. So you're moving your stop loss into profit. Now there's no chance of a loss. Another way of locking profit would be to scale out of your trade. So again, you have one standard lot. This move 50 pips. That's $10 a pip, right? So that's a lot of money, right? 50 pips at $10 a pip. Yeah, that's $500. So you can choose to scale out some of that. You can say, hey, I'm going to close, 50% of my trade at this point. I'm going to leave my stop loss up here. If it comes back and hits, I have a break even trade. But if it doesn't and it continues, then not only did I get my $250 out of this, what is that, couple of hours, right? But also I can have a chance to catch the rest with the rest of my lot size. So for example, if I scaled out here, okay, and I caught the rest of this, so the rest of this at 0.5, that's 280 some odd pips, right? So I'm using a calculator because I don't do math like that in public. Times 5. That's another $1,400 that you could have caught on this trade. But if you did it the other way, which is the whole concept of moving your stop loss into profit, and you hear every guru on YouTube teaching you to do that, the problem is you would have got knocked out here, would have got knocked out here, and then of course what happens, you take off. So I like personally When I say lock profit, my version of lock profit means I'm scaling out of a portion of my position. I'm maintaining my stop loss at where it was, and I'm going to see if I can't catch the rest of this move.
Okay, interesting.
It's just a different way to trade. I feel like it's a lot more viable. Because keep in mind, if you did that and it does reverse and hit your stop loss, you're still going to equal somewhere near a break even trade, which on the negative side, so worst case scenario, is equal to you dragging your stop loss in a profit. But on the positive side, the best case scenario, it's also equal to a difference of $2,000 in a winning trade versus, what is that, $100, because you got stopped back
On the
out.
losing trade, right?
So for me, the potential for my reward is higher than the potential for the protection, I should say, from the risk. So I'm always going to choose the better reward versus protection over the minimal risk.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. And again, if y'all don't have a trade manager, just set up an alert. So you're in the trade, your stop loss is set. Go for a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio or 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio in terms of your final TP. But then set an alert by going here, hit alert. Your broker will message you once your price hits that kind of ADR that you're looking for. Cool, you know when to come back and create the action. And otherwise, you hit your full take profit, you hit your full stop, and life is good.
We're gonna have to learn the ATM, I believe.
Hey, good luck. This thing is like, it's a lot, but it'll teach you. It's very humbling, but in a good way. So it's very humbling in a good way.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks a lot.
You are welcome. All right. Any other questions, comments? Let's see. On the rules. This is your moment. Sorry, I was out of town this weekend, so I didn't I got a boatload of messages saying, oh my gosh, send me the rules. But I was not available. So now we are here. This is your moment. If any of that was unclear or there's anything you want me to clarify of how you would actively do that, I know I said it fast. I know I ran through it, but I promise you that is all you need. So, okay. Well, then in that case, let's go ahead and take a look at the trades. So last week we had a boatload of trades. This week, not a lot setting up on the 4 hour. Some of those things are kind of in between the move. They have some potential, but not enough potential to kind of risk the move, particularly on that 4 hour time frame. So a few things on the 1 hour where you could chase it, but most of the moves are kind of far away. So technically, is there still room on stuff like USD CAD? We took that a couple weeks in a row. Yeah, we have a beautiful breakout, retest to previous area, looking for the continuation. Technically, great potential, but I'm trying not to share those trade ideas specifically. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip a lot of the other ones that you can see have already really played out quite a bit. I don't want to take the ones that have already played out too much. So one of the ones that we have available for today, and these are going to be the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. Maybe 6. I'm probably leaning more toward 5. These are the 5 trades that we will look at again next week and potentially the following week to say, okay, how did these play out? If you stopped micromanaging and stopped freaking out and just let, the markets do what they're going to do, to be a swing trader means you're holding these trades for days and weeks. You are not flipping out. So, OddCAD 4-hour time frame, beautiful buy signal. It has sat still. This is not a fast moving pair, as you guys can see. We also know the other Canadian pairs have really taken off. I know we try not to consider correlation as a rule for entry, but it's a nice piece of evidence. It's a nice piece of confluence, right, to go with what we're doing. So now I'm going to zoom in, get a little clearer picture. We can see we're failing to make lower lows. We keep failing to make lower lows. Again, no guarantee on this trade. Kind of got that tweezer bottom. We have a really good potential in terms of, okay, do we take this trade? So 4-hour time frame, you can choose to take it at the break of this structure or the break of this structure. Notice the 50 is in between these two. So I'm a little bit more biased on saying, hey, I'm going to take it at the break of this 50, right? For duplication in terms of these recordings, I'm trying to make sure that the rules are something that you can verify that if you went back to this recording in 2 years and you said, okay, I'm going to look at that candle formation. I'm going to see if this chick is legit. I'm going to see if this trade won or lost. I'm going to say at the break of this fractal, we are taking this entry. So again, let's minimize that. Let's kind of draw this out like I would on my morning classes. Let's see, we're going to make this green for a buy, potential buy. Ooh, come on, I know better. In theory, pending, right? So the dotted lines are pending. Green for pending buy. My stop loss is going to be either here or it's more likely it's going to be here. The last 4 fractals is going to kind of fall somewhere in and around this area. And we don't kind of go over that too much, but our take profits. So I make my take profits a certain color so we can kind of verify. And this is not going to save because we don't use this that same way. So these are not going to be visible next time we come to this chart, just so you guys all know. But I am going to, with you present, kind of look this over. So 4 hour time frame, one ATR is only 18 pips, right? I'm willing to bet that's way more than 18 pips, isn't it? So I'm looking kind of at structure. My first take profit is not going to be just one ADR. One ATR is going to be kind of in and around this. One ADR is 40. So not a bad way to be on the 4 hour time frame. We definitely have that much potential. My final take profit in terms of how I manage this beautiful kind of double bottom, triple bottom, plenty of formations for those who know candle formations. But let me double click this. Let's drag this. Oh, don't be silly. Don't be silly. I do know how to do this. Sometimes it doesn't listen though. It's not listening. Try that again. I can duplicate. There we go. Looking at the structure to the left is kind of where I'm looking for my final take profits, right? That's what I'm doing, period, end of story. So again, let's take a look. That's that 40-ish pips. That's fine. I can handle that. That's one ADR. Is it around here? By the time this hits one ADR, I am definitely locking my profit. No matter what, I'm going to scale out a part of my trade and leave the rest up for extra. The rest is a bonus. The rest is, the cherry on top of the sundae, right? It's not why you got the sundae, but it sure is nice to have. So that's all I'm using it for. Then, of course, something like this, looking to the left, just seeing kind of where price has stopped in the past. That's all I'm looking for. So if I hit these 3 take profits, I'm happy. Like that's a lot of pips. And I guarantee you, notice how that's that right there where my take profit is right here is 7 ATR. That's what that is. Wish I could go up a little bit higher. That's 7 ATR. My final take profit is 7. So not a bad way to be in terms of this trade at all. Got a lot of potential. Stop loss is way tighter than how much you're actually going to be risking. Probably like a 5-to-1 risk to reward trade. Great potential setup. Let's see what that does in a week. If you want to see if it hits these take profits, I recommend you either tag this portion of the video. Maybe Miss Donna can tag what location. I know she's working on that too, but hey, we talked about OddCat at this time, but that's just an idea. Otherwise, take a picture. It lasts longer. And see what you can do in terms of what happens with this trade. If it hits that, that's great. Either way, not a bad setup. So Odd Chef is next. I'm going to point out again, because I need to, obviously for the sake of you and for the sake of me, there are several odd or CAD pairs in this list. You cannot take every CAD pair. Just because CAD seems to be what's setting up right now does not mean it's a good idea to be over leveraged per currency. So we would never just go take every US dollar trade and say, woohoo, because that's a really good way to blow your account. If anything happens with the US dollar, you are really sad and really mad. So don't do that. You have to cherry pick which ones you want. That's my decision.
Darn, so we can't be greedy?
Oh, that's correct, Derek. That is correct, silly guy. Okay, so Odd Chef, again, another odd pair. Price has really failed to make a lower low. This one is not nearly as amazing as the other, as our Odd CAD. Doesn't have near as much of the same confluence. However, I'm just seeing the chance to get the pips that we're looking for. Not perfect, but again, if we enter here, our stop loss is way tight, right? It's down here. That's not much at all. Slow moving pair. Obviously, again, for the sake of duplication, we have to go off of the 3 hour point, the 3 o'clock candle and say, okay, we need price to have broken this fractal. So again, same kind of concept. I'll drop my one line and we'll make a pending here to kind of show you what this looks like in real life trading. So this is all we would be doing. I'd have my pending here. I'm using a dotted line to verify that it's pending and not active. And remember, we're going to kind of close out one ADR. We know we're protecting or closing a portion of our trade. 4 hour time frame, you're using one ADR. So here we go. That's 40. What is that? 46. That's kind of the highest ADR. I probably have that a little bit lower, but if you look to the left, you've got some structure there to verify that. I'll drop it a little bit lower just for the sake, again, of duplication. So here's our trade. Once we break that, we are definitely in this trade. You can also choose to go to a baby time frame and say, hey, once we get the break above that 50, I'm taking this trade to slightly earlier entry, slightly tighter stop, and then I'm going to milk it for whatever thing I can get. So first take profit's going to be there. Again, kind of going off the concept of that kind of 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. We don't need very much to make this a super profitable trade. We don't need very much at all. So going from here, kind of to give you an idea what that is, if we enter somewhere around here, that means I'm going to hit escape. This is pre-measured at 7 ATR. So that's 7 ATR. That's 4 ATR that this trade is hitting. That's not bad at all. That's all we need to have a really, really good trade. I'm going to hit escape, get that off my chart. There we go. First take profits kind of going to be somewhere in here, again, based off of a rule-based reason. Second take profit, I'm just looking to the left to see where prices stopped. It really consolidated here. I see the structure and I see the area of interest. If you really wanted, you can get another one. But again, for the sake of your purposes and to say, okay, is this lady crazy or does this actually work? Please take a picture of this and see, did it work? Was that in at least a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio? Would this have paid me enough to be profitable? So that'll be on this chart. Sorry, we can't keep the lines on this. I can't possibly have that many pairs open down here. Sorry, it's just not possible. So these lines will disappear, but this is recorded. Again, you can choose to come back and take a look at that. Next pair, again, is another CAD pair. I like this one though. Look at all this consolidation. It has been sitting flat. It has done nothing, and I'm waiting for it to do something now. So this little orange line that we kind of see showing up right here is the average daily high, and I'm really interested in kind of seeing this get broken. But again, we have a brand new fresh buy signal on the 4 hour time frame. Price is consolidated. We have a lot of room to go up. So for the sake of ease, we're going to put our pending order. Actually, right now as we speak, we're breaking that fractal. If you guys see that fractal, I guess I'll show you a little bit better as I zoom in. Okay, here's the fractal. We broke that beautiful fractal. So our next fractal isn't until here. Kind of actually, we're literally breaking that right now. If you guys see the fractal underneath that sell signal, I'll zoom in a little bit more. See this fractal? We're literally sitting on it. We've already broken this one from the first signal. Our next highest fractal is here. So you could even say, hey, I'm entering this trade right now. Or as soon as we break here, I guess we're slightly below that, just barely. So great setup. This is the one that's closest to ready to enter. We've got our entry now. Now I'm going to zoom out. I know it gets a little ugly and a little unclear, but y'all can handle that. So again, I'm going to drop my line. I'm going to make this powder blue just because documentation beats conversation. Ta-da. Again, 4 hour time frame, we're going for 1 ADR. Anything lower, we're going for half the ADR or 1 to maybe 1 to 1.5 ATR. If it's a smaller time frame, half of the ADR in the 1 hour, and on the 4 hour, you're looking for 1. So here we go. Let's measure again. That's our kind of 43. I'm going to zoom, make that a little bit bigger, obviously, because we want our first take profit to be at least 1 ADR. So that's kind of 64. I can live with that. That's the smallest of those 3 numbers. And it's kind of sitting at structure. So really high likelihood that we're going to hit that. And then again, I'm just looking left. I'm going to hit control to duplicate this line. My final take profit's kind of going to be up there. In terms of this one, because we have the room, almost like a breakout trade of this huge, big, fat zone, I'm going to make another one kind of just looking left to see kind of where my area of interest is at, and that's where I want it. So ta-da, again, here's 3 take profits. Come back in 2 weeks, maybe not 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see how long these take to play out. Most of them will play out within a week or so. Some of them take a little longer. It's just real. How much would that be worth? Again, entering here. On this one, because we're closer to the actual entry, we can measure the stop loss. Figure stop loss at 111, 120-ish pips. Final take profit, 250-ish pips. you're still looking at a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and you have a lot of potential in this trade. So not a bad way to be. If we break this third take profit, I would wait for the pullback before I took this any higher personally, but we'll see how that plays out. Any questions on any of these pairs so far? Let's see. Hey, Jonathan.
No questions at all.
Okay. How was your day?
Took my son to a violin lesson, so it was pretty nice. It's raining over here in Texas, though, so Don is probably dealing with the same thing.
How long he's been playing?
He's been playing since I guess since entering the sixth grade. He's going into his junior year right now. But he's sort of a prodigy. He just sort of learned by himself, and we're late to the game with getting lessons for him. So, that's what it is.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I just lost you guys, but I think Jonathan just broke it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I've got 2 more trades, maybe 3, but I just totally lost that broker. So,
Hey, Jenny,
hey, Woody.
are you telling me you're entering on the 4-hour on all of these?
All these ones from today are 4-hour trades. Yep.
Okay.
Hey, we got so lucky. I am such a happy camper. Hold on. Happy camper. I saved this template right before too because my computer was totally being silly. You guys can see this again. So now my template is still good. Thank God. Okay, so this is the 4-hour. I'm not doing anything else. Hey, listen, Linda. Whoever's watching Old Spice moisturizer, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. But otherwise, shh. Listen, Linda. Shh. Okay, so back to what we're doing. Yes, this is 4-hour. This is, guys, it's no secret that we're building other things. I'm working on a bot. I'm working on some other business directions in multiple directions, to be very transparent. I mean, I just said direction like 12 times, but we're working on different content websites and the whole nine. So I'm not looking to be on this chart all the time. I scalp in the morning with our golden strategy. And that's it. I take a couple of trades. I don't even trade that every day. And then the simplicity, I'm doing it once a week, sometimes once every other week, depending on how it's set up. So I know you guys have been taught to maybe look at the 15-minute and the 4:15 and some other things. I am not knocking other people's way of using this. I am just discussing how I would use it and how I am using it for me. So let me again clarify that. I am not interested in getting a 4-hour signal and going to babysit a 15-minute time frame for something to line up. I am not interested in 5-minute signals on this system, period, no matter what. I don't feel like a reversal-based system is a good way to find 5-minute trades, personally. I want trending trades for the most part, or structure-based trades on a 5-minute system. So
No, reason I was asking because when I first started out in the industry, I learned a lot from the no nonsense Forex guy.
I love him.
Me too. And I wish that's where I started. And I wish he would come back on. He's starting to do a little bit, but he was always on the 4 and the daily. That's where he traded from. I never really got the concept down, and now you're bringing it back, and I really wanted to learn it. So I'm glad I'm listening to this.
Well, come hang out with me. You'll get it.
Well, I definitely will. I'm in your classes. I just don't say a whole lot. I'm trying to learn that goddamn indices. It's just moves so goddamn fast for me right now. I'm trying to get it down.
You'd be surprised how many messages I get about those calls. I get all kinds of tips and go faster, go slower, go fast. And I can't please everybody. So we're kind of slowing it up a little bit. We're getting up off the 1 minute a little bit so more people can grasp it. Because when 1 week we got 14,000 pips in a week. Granted,
I
it
know.
doesn't happen every week. Let's be fair. It does not happen every week. Some weeks
Doesn't need to though.
It doesn't need to. That's the point.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. We're up to I think we're at 90,000 pips. Don't quote me, but I think we're at 90,000 pips in that group. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
You know how much
it's an awesome group.
Jerry's coffee we can buy with that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You go ahead first, HBGTBG72, and then Jonathan was saying something.
No, I was just saying you got an awesome group. That's all.
Yeah, they are. They're amazing people. I'm super blessed. Like just good people, right? So, okay, Jonathan, you were saying something?
Oh no, nothing important. Sorry to over talk him. I was just saying that we can buy so much coffee with all those pips.
I needed coffee today. I feel like I probably had too much. I was a little jittery today. I was like, zzz. Whoops. It's okay though.
Too much espresso.
And I need more espresso, Jonathan. I need good espresso. Good. Okay, so let's look at these last couple of trades. We already went over odd CAD buy 4-hour time frame, odd chef buy 4-hour time frame, Euro CAD currently buying. So I'm going to put a star next to that. I'm going to put current. I'll write that down too, so we actually have that kind of in our notes. Currently in this, so we know. Euro CAD for a buy. NZD CAD is the next one. So notice how there's too many CADs. We can't take all these CADs. Let's be fair. We can't possibly do it. It would be a bad way to be. So not interested in that whatsoever. But again, 4-hour time frame, we just got the signal. And what's beautiful, I don't know who it was. I think it was Gabriel, but we talk about how sometimes we get the signal and it pulls back first. Well, guess what? This one's done pulling back. So we already know we kind of have that verified. We failed to make a lower low. We've got that kind of almost railroad tweezer kind of bottom happening. I think this one even gapped. Don't quote me. I'm willing to bet this gapped just from how that candle looked. Yeah, it gapped down and closed in that 1 hour. That gapped down and closed in that 1 hour. So this has already kind of made it spring to come out. So again, we're getting ready to break a fractal on the 1 hour. Not so valid on the 4. Let's find out. Here's our 4-hour. So same kind of concept, guys. Very duplicatable system. I'm going to just drop that there for now. I'll measure it in a moment. Here's our fractal. You guys can barely see it, but it's there. So we've got our signal. And now we're looking at the chart at this time. We can't go off of what's happened in the past or another time. We can only go off of right now. So right now, our fractal is, come on, don't be silly. Oh, I lied. There's no fractal here. I didn't mean to. There we go. Gotta move it here. So here's our most recent fractal. Sorry, you can also choose to use the 50, but for duplication purposes, we have to stay consistent because I need to be able to prove to you guys and to anybody who's, doubting themselves and they can't find their own strength to say, is this possible? Does it work? I'm going to stay with true to form, and I'm going to say when it breaks this fractal, because this is the candle we're looking on. So when it breaks this fractal, again, 4-hour time frame, 1 ADR, the smallest of the 3 is 50. We're looking for 50 pips. That one's a little bit smaller than I would want it to be. So coming up a little bit, 50 pips, a little lower, little baby lower, deal. Now I'm going to zoom out to kind of get a couple of other take profits. We know our stop loss is at structure. I'm going to duplicate this line, just looking to the left. Okay, I like this area. And if you guys don't see what I see, that's fine. I see the line chart pretty clearly. It's only because I've been doing this a long time. So when I look at those ugly candles that are like zzz, 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 I can just see the line chart. So I kind of program myself to see it. So that's why, so you guys know what I'm seeing and not that I'm crazy. So next one, I'm looking for price to come all the way up to here, staying true to the kind of zone. So again, way better than a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. A lot of potential in this trade. If we enter here, we're hitting a little bit like 8 ATR. That's how many ATR we're hitting, give or take. It's about 8 ATR in terms of profit of this trade. Not bad at all. Not bad even a little bit. So that's where my final take profits are. If we do break this level, I'd wait for a pullback and take it up all the way up to here even. I'll draw it just for conversation purposes. I wait for price to come all the way back up to here and retest this breakout. Not to say we're going to hit all the way up there. I think that we're going to react around here, but that would be my final if I was holding for this long. So again, I'll leave this up on the screen. Take a picture for yourself. Take a picture to prove, okay, what if I let this be for 2 weeks or for a week? I don't know about you, but most people don't make $2,000, doing nothing for 2 weeks for 1 hour of time. So on a standard lot, if you took this trade and only wrote it to here, what is that, 170, 180-ish pips? That's, figure $1,800. Knowing you're going to scale out here, either way, a really safe $1,000 for an hour of your time, not a bad way to be. Not at all. AFX is the broker you'd have to use because you don't want to pay swap fees, and because you want to be able to have the max leverage on swing trading. You guys know my go-to broker is Hugo's Way. I use it for everything except for swing trading, and that I use my AFX. Link is in the chat of the YouTube. It's there. Great broker, super fast withdrawals. So that's that one. And then my favorite, I kid you not, if this is a pain in the butt, we're gonna have words, but either way. XRP 4-hour time frame. Look what we have here. We have waited on this pair forever. Some of the other cryptos are taking off. Again, we don't want to make hard and fast decisions based off of correlation. We want to be mindful that it's a nice factor to weigh in on, but it is not an end all be all. It is not a reason to make a decision. It's just a little bow with our decision. So having said that, we've got a kind of beautiful break price retesting this area. I said earlier in class this morning that I wouldn't take that 15-minute buy until we kind of retested that 15 and 30-minute 50, in which case we kind of did. So this is where we're finding the trade. That's this candle right here. On this pair, I have to stay true to form because I'm being diligent. But if I was actively trading this and you're not trying to be diligent, I would look for a slightly tighter entry because this has a lot more pips, and this one doesn't eat up your margin like US 30, but it pays like US 30, which is kind of awesome. Not a bad pair to perfect. However, it does play around a lot, so get used to getting jerked around. Because I need to stay consistent, I'm going to put my entry here. For you guys, I would tell you, go to a baby time frame, take the next fractal break, and do the dang thing, because you don't want to have a later entry on this pair. So for me and mine, I have to be duplicatable. So we're going to do this the long way, which means 4-hour signal. We're waiting for the break of the most recent fractal. Again, consistent, provable, verifiable, easy to do. Doesn't need any skill set. So again, we're going to go to powder blue. We're going to go here. This one's a little tricky because, well, crypto pips are weird pips, as you guys know. So measuring from here to here, that's 700-ish pips. ADR, 600, 700, 1500. That's because of that big one. I'm going to kind of go off, again, the smaller of the numbers. So I'm going to go off the smaller of the numbers, which means I'm going for about 600-ish pips on my first take profit. And remember, I'm using it as a first take profit or lock profit area. So anywhere in and around here, I'm good with that. And then again, kind of coming up, we've got our next one at structure. I would expect a reaction here. I would actually expect it to come up, break through, come down, and then hopefully take off. No guarantees, because we know cryptos are the reason to argue for everybody in the financial industry. But it is what it is. So looking to the left, right before this big breakout candle, this bearish candle, this big momentum candle, that's where I'm putting that final take profit. Obviously, we're going to play around. This is not going to happen overnight. It could if it finally takes off. And obviously, if it does take off, we could go way, way higher. But we're just kind of staying true to form in terms of here's our stop loss. We want at least a 2-to-1 or anything greater than a 1-to-1. This serves that purpose. If you happen to be holding this trade and it does continue to break out, I would be looking for it to go here and then, beyond. But we're not doing that. We're not doing the whole venture capitalism, stock hold. We're just day trading. This is technical analysis, so we're entering and exiting for a reason. So again, based off of us entering here, we'd probably be getting about a 10 ATR take profit if we did hit that final take profit. So 10 ATR take profit. Not bad at all. At all. So take your pictures, see how this plays out. I'm really curious myself. I'm already in this trade personally. No guarantees, guys. It definitely can make a lower low. It definitely can do the darn thing, because that's what cryptos do. They make everyone think they're buying, and then they drop so fast you didn't even have a chance to react or think, and then of course take off. So be careful. This does pay like US 30, and you're not going to notice that from your margin, but it's gonna go quick. So please trade this carefully if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, KB, seriously. XRP was like, I was in love, and then, we had this thing going on, and then I was in love, and it just, XRP, because I love how expensive it is and how it doesn't eat up all my availability. But then it fools around with you so much, you kind of start to hate it. It's like, you can't play mind games. Let's just do this.
Still battered and beaten from the last XRP trade.
Right? Yeah.
And it's not from the loss. It's from just it playing around, like, and then just deciding to go down after that while other cryptos were going up.
Yeah, right. Well, we know a lot of the crypto wallets are down. So let's see. Let's take a look historically. We finally got this beautiful breakout. We said, okay, this is the crypto boom. But remember, we've talked about this in our morning classes. You know, people are calling this the winter of crypto, which is okay because we know that cryptos typically go up quite a bit in that December, area, right? In fall, basically. So if this is the winter for crypto, that just means, the plentiful time is coming shortly. We got, man, it just did nothing at all for God knows how long, just forever. Let's see, that's 6-8, and then it finally broke below on 620. That's 12 days later. That's like 2 trading weeks later, guys. It's almost 3 weeks later. I mean, I'm going to round up just for dramatic purposes, but it's almost 3 weeks later of doing nothing. Made a lower low. We'll see what happens. Might just come back up, retest this kind of take profit 2 area, and then, tick off the whole world again before it does its thing. We'll see. KB said it'll have you smoking and drinking if you're not careful, right? I felt that. Definitely felt that. Okay, that's it, guys. That's actually only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calls. Last week we had a lot more. I did look at GBP odd as a potential kind of maybe baby situation. I'm not in love with it. Don't hate it. Let's go take a look real quick. 4-hour sell signal. We've got a nice impulse. We've come back and retest. So going off of that kind of current entry, yeah, not bad. If we break this fractal level, we have the potential. So let's zoom out, kind of get the bigger picture, make it really ugly. We definitely have the potential to kind of come down a little bit. But notice what this market's doing. It's just kind of edging up. So this, I'm not nearly as in love with this trade. Do I see the potential to at least get kind of our ADR, half the ADR? Sure. But this is the daily time frame. Take a look. We definitely have some room to break out. I know it's kind of ugly and zoomed in, but you get the picture. We have the room to kind of go up a little bit more. So 1 hour time frame, again, we're buying. We don't have a reason to sell just yet. Not quite in love. The 4 hour says we have some room, but this would be one of those kind of, to me, the more you have to make your decision. So can we count this as a signal again? Yeah, same concept. If we break this fractal, which is again the average daily low, by the way, take this trade, but milk it a little bit differently, protect it a little bit differently. Don't necessarily go for the full ADR because this one's a little bit more counter trend. Multiple time frames are showing this as a buy instead. If we do break this fractal level, make sure you're closing out 75% of your position instead of only 25 or 50 when you hit one ADR or half of the ADR, right? You make good decisions even on kind of iffy trades and you'll still do really good, or you learn to avoid the iffy trades. So because we already have enough odd pairs and we already have enough CAD pairs. So there's that too, just to be transparent. But that was
Hey, Jenny,
Hey, Woody.
what is your trend setting for your arrows?
Let's take a look together. So the Swiss Army knife deleted my template today. And I was like frantically going, okay, what's my license code? The template didn't save. It was my fault, but yeah, it's a user error. So arrow size is 11, trend period is 10.
Okay.
It's a 10. I think I had that set a little bit different, so this I just uploaded. I think I said it 11 or 13, but these were all called with 10, so now I'm going to keep it at 10.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, guys, these nighttime calls, we usually keep it at a really, really good, healthy amount of time. And as you just heard, we hung out this morning talking about everything from, the Trading Nut podcast to psychology and just compounding galore. We talked a lot about compounding. So if there are any other questions, right now is your moment. Don't be shy. Please don't wait until I say goodnight. Questions on pairs, comments, rules, write this down and go actually do it. So.
Jenny, I just want to confirm that the same thing you just went through with the 4 hour, we can do with the 1 hour.
There's be a lot more setups. Yeah.
Okay. And then just look at the fractal break and stuff like that on the 1 hour.
Yes. So keep in mind, so like take something like this. Again, I'm not going to look for a perfect idea. Here we get a signal here, fractal breaks, we pull back. You have
Mhm.
to be able to stomach this. You have to be able to handle that. And notice right here, we had a sell signal come in.
Mhm.
And in this case, we did break below. So you're going to get, everybody wants to trade more, which is great, but you're going to win more and you're going to lose more too.
So is that why you prefer the with this system using the 4 hour opposed over that 1 hour?
I
No.
prefer the 4 hour because I feel like most people trade too much. And the 1 hour just makes you like a fiend and an addict. Because look, even if you only picked a dozen trades, think about how many times you would get an alert, an entry, just in 1 week's time. So let me hear Control Y. That puts on my day breaks, maybe. Hold on, it didn't work. There we go. So think about how many trades you're going to get in a week's time. So in
Mhm.
a week's time, if you have a dozen pairs, for example, I don't know how many pairs you trade, you're going to be, you're going to miss the ones that played out. You're going to chase the ones that didn't. Um, you're going to close the ones that would have won. You're going to have an emotional reactions to the ones that lost. And then at the end of this, like 1 week, 3 week period, I feel like most people are so beat up and beat down mentally and emotionally that they can't even see the potential for what it is anymore because they've managed so many decisions. So like if you're using a trade manager and you're checking your charts, let's just say once, twice a day, like you're really good at your own self-discipline, by all means. Use a trade manager, take your 1 hour trades, have it loose enough at structure so it doesn't micromanage stuff like this pullback. This would be a loss, but it would be a manageable loss, so who cares? There's no re-enter for this buy, which sucks, but that's real life. I'm just kind of going off of what's on this chart, not going to cherry pick, just what's on this chart, right? You will win more than you lose, but without a trade manager, without mental and emotional discipline, so that means you have to promise yourself you're only going to check the chart, for example, at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, and you're going to check it at, let's just say, 6 p.m. Well, 7 p.m. Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of thing. And then even if a setup happens at an off hour, you don't go look at it, you don't go take it. You can only make a decision at those times. You can have success. Otherwise, you're going to be 60 trades in and either a break even or a losing account. And ask anybody. I feel like most people have done that.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm definitely seeing. And I'm not even on the 1 hour. I'm using it like on the 30 minute. But yeah, it has been where it is a lot of trades. So I'm glad I jumped on.
Well, like there's books, right? They say that don't quote me, guys. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but they say like Steve Jobs and whatever the creator Mark Z, they literally limit how many decisions they make. I know that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates did comparable things. They limited the amount of decisions they had to make in a day because they needed to use, as humans, we only have the capacity to make so many decisions in a day. And if you're using them on what t-shirt you wear, what, undergarments or what have you, if you're using them on breakfast and oatmeal and cereal, and do I drive this path or do I get this drink from Starbucks, and you're using up all those decisions, you don't even have the same level of brain power to make any other ones. So you can follow the wealthiest people in the world, and one of those tips and tricks is they literally, cultivated their life in a way that said, I will undo everything is either pre-planned, they have their black t-shirts or what have you, to limit their exposure to having to make a decision. This way they had more full mental and emotional capacity to make them. And with that fact in mind, I hate, and I'm going to say that again, I hate the idea of the 30 minute, of the 1 hour, of the 15 minute. Even for what I do on my morning calls, like if I did not limit how many hours I was at that chart, it would be mind numbing. If I didn't, because on the morning calls we sometimes look at gold and GU, but it's mostly just NAS, US 30, German 30, and Ripple. I don't even look at XRP. I look at nothing else. And I don't even do that every day. Some days where I'm not on a call, I don't even bother to look. Like I might get an alert, and if I feel like it, I'll go trade it. If I don't feel like it, I ignore it totally. Because when you're forced to make that many decisions, that means you got this on 50 different pairs. And then you had to say the fractal, you had to decide the stop loss, you have to decide how you're going to manage it and decide, what conversation to have with your husband that afternoon, for example, or whatever. It's too many decisions. And then you're not operating at your best you're not showing up as your best version of yourself to these charts or to anywhere else in life. It's overwhelming. So
Yeah, that's really good stuff. So I only trade GU, but yeah, it's enough still. With news and everything.
sorry that was long-winded. What else is new though?
No, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, there's another person muted. How can I help you? Unmuted. Or was that an accident? Because I keep seeing it pop up. Fine, mute yourself. All right, well, I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that those couple of trades play out 5, maybe 6 if you want to count G odd. Keep in mind you cannot keep every odd or every CAD pair, and most of them are either odd or CAD pairs except for Ripple. So pick your poison, pick, 1 or 2 of the CAD and the odd, and then maybe Ripple, and let's see how they play out. Worst case, Euro CAD closes in profit, and then one of the other CADs take off, for example. You could potentially still follow all of those trades and kind of see how they play out. But let's reconvene this on Tuesday of next week, or at least go over the setups and see what we can do while we're here. Can you look at gold? Yeah, we'll look at gold. We looked at gold this morning. We caught a baby scalp totally by accident, and then a baby buy, like very small time frame. So right now it looks like we're breaking that 30-minute fractal. We caught, this is a really bad view. I think we caught some of, I don't know what we got. This, maybe. I think we got this and then some of this. That makes more sense. We got this move and then some of this move. But 30-minute, what time frame are you looking at, Mike? And what strategy are you using?
I was actually looking at the daily and the 1 hour. That's what I use most of the time
With some
when I'm going for longer trades.
with simplicity. Okay, so what is it you're seeing? Control Y. Let's get those off. Breakout, pull mag.
I don't know. It's been playing with my emotions. Like, to be honest. Of course, I did have it going up. Then it came back and spiked a few times. I'm looking at your chart. Hold on a second. Then it came in and spiked a few times. Then I had it going down. I was in the sell from right where you're right at the top up here. Oh, you can't see my right where the red is at the top.
Okay.
I was in that sell. I got some good pips.
Okay.
I tried to come back today. I think it was today. Oh, yesterday. Excuse me. Yesterday. Then it kept playing around, spiking on me, so I just left it alone. So I was going to actually go back to it. I thought that it was going to continue or actually come back down and test this area where it currently is now, and actually take off. That's what I thought. But
For the sell, you mean?
yeah, hold on. I had it going actually going back up.
Me too. So this is one of those difficult conversations to have. So again, we're supposed to leave our biases off of the chart. We're supposed
Right.
we're all superhuman, and we show up as human every day. So obviously, beautiful buy. This is a beautiful kind of retest of where price broke out, because look, right here is where we get the breakout. We come back and we retest this area. And if you're having a hard time see that, go to the line chart. You'll see this is where we break out of this kind of lower structure. We come back down and retest this area. So this area where price is kind of sitting at now, we already rejected off, came in, we're kind of sitting below, is a really good area. It's hard to see because of this stinking box is in the way too much, but come on, silly butt. Let's see if I can't get a little clearer. I doubt it. Either way, you can see where price broke out, came down and retest. So this is a really interesting area for me. Obviously, right now we're selling. I lost a trade last week by calling a buy because we broke out to the downside, and we have to count that. Well, actually, that was here. These candles right here. I was waiting for this to take off. It just didn't happen. So we do lose trades occasionally. So now daily time frame, we won 2 trades today. Then we were looking for another buy. But what happened again? You're coming down. We made a lower low. We just broke this fractal. Let's go to a smaller time frame now, because I was not looking at the daily. Not. So again, 4-hour time frame, we broke below, kind of tweezer bottoms. This is an inside candle. So engulfing candle, inside candle, that's what this is. So we came back, retested it. In terms of an engulfing candle, we could get the continuation of the downside. A lot of people do trade engulfing candles that way. So trying to look at this from an unbiased perspective, that's an impulse move to the downside. We've officially retested 50% of that candle, and we have failed to go any higher. So that's an argument for the potential continuation on this sell. So I guess if I had to look at this for what I'm seeing right now, we could see something like this where we come down. This is yesterday's, or this is the average daily low, maybe even wick below here of where it's already wicked, and then continue. We could see something like that, which, it's not what I want, clearly. I'd want this to buy now, but it's just not ready right now. So maybe something like this where we kind of break down, form one more spring. If we break this level, not marginally, but by a substantial amount, even one ATR kind of thing on the 1 hour time frame, I would be looking for the continuation of the downside to hit more structure on that kind of daily time frame. Otherwise, this is just going to be a spring to the downside for the potential buy. So trying to look at this from an unbiased standpoint.
Okay. Okay.
Because my bias personally is to buy. I know not only myself, but a handful of other people. 1 hour time frame, we've got this beautiful vectoring, again, engulfing candle, 3 candles down, tweezer bottoms, beautiful buy up, sitting kind of at 50% of this engulfing candle for the potential to go up. I know I'm just rambling, but learning to see this from both sides is a big deal. It's going to help you not make as many bad decisions. So
Yeah.
30-minute time frame, we're breaking fractals, which means we're still moving down. So whereas I want to buy this, it's not ready for me to buy it. So like anything else, it's a timing thing. 15-minute, we're breaking that structure pretty good. Beautiful W formation, played out perfectly, came back and retrusted structure, and now we're consolidating. Odds are we're going to make some kind of a spring before we do anything. So I'm not in a confirmed buy yet, but I'm also not going to chase the sell, which means I might miss the breakout of the sell. But for me, I don't have a confirmation to buy, so I can't do it. And I see more potential for the buy than the sell. So I could scout this. Like if this was my morning call, that's what we did this morning on this baby spot. We saw the potential to scalp it down a little bit, and we caught like 34 pips instantly, which was nice.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't always happen. I don't typically do stuff like that because it's not, you don't need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at, 15-minute time frame coming up. We're breaking these fractals. We're definitely pushing low. So how far we're going to go, we're at the we're testing this W, which is a theory all by itself, right? When we get W's, people say we're going to come down and retest the middle before we continue the upside. So one way or another, I'm waiting for a breakout before I buy, and odds are I'm not taking the sell. So
Take a quality trade instead. Okay, I got you.
and it doesn't mean I'm right, to be transparent. So again, to go back to this day chart, with everything going on in our economy, the news, blah blah blah, this still has some more room to push up. Now, are we going to get it? I don't know, but it definitely has some more room to kind of finish its move. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, guys, that's enough for today. We have went a little bit longer, but that's okay. So again, I hope you guys stick with these trades. Come back in a week or two and hold me to it. Win, lose, or draw. That's not what trading is about. Win, lose, or draw. We can make amazing pips if we just kind of stay the course and learn to kind of capitalize on patience more than anything. So happy trading. I hope you guys all have an incredible night, and God bless.
Thank you.